Whenever you're ready, go ahead.
Over 1.7 million sport-related concussions occur each year in the United States, according to the Center for Disease Control. In an impact lasting only 15 milliseconds, the player's head can experience forces close to 100 Gs, which is nearly 10 times the amount of force the United States Air Force pilot experiences at top speed. This year alone, over 50,000 athletes have died in sport-related concussion injuries. Concussions and traumatic brain injuries are very serious medical conditions, and have most recently been brought to light because of their increase in occurrence and severity. Now I'd like to inform you all about concussion awareness. This information is relevant to anyone involved in athletics. If not you, then maybe a friend or family member who's involved in contact sports. And with this information, you will be able to recognize signs and symptoms and possibly avoid serious and possibly fatal consequences. I personally have been involved in research involving concussions for a year now. As an exercise science major at Florida State, I do research with the College of Medicine and the Biomedical Research Facility. So I know a lot about this topic. Now I want to introduce to you 3 important topics about concussions. First, I'm going to go over what a concussion is exactly and the signs and symptoms of it. Then I want to discuss what medical advancements are being taken place in order to decrease the severity of them. And lastly, I'll talk about what political legislation is being invoked right now to reduce the amount of concussions happening per year. So to begin, what is a concussion? A concussion is a type of traumatic brain injury caused by a jolt to the head. This temporary loss of brain function can cause a variety of cognitive, physical, and emotional side effects. In Latin, concussion means the act of striking together. And in this mere force lasting only 15 milliseconds, the brain swells severely. This swelling can cause a loss of consciousness, memory loss, reflex impairments, nausea, vomiting, and serious amnesia. According to the Sports Science Laboratory, the brain, while being hit, can hit the internal side of the skull at close to 20 miles per hour. And this force is very serious because in this state of impairment, the brain is at high risk for further impact and further injury caused by a second concussion. This condition, known as second impact syndrome, is an often fatal condition when an athlete is put back in the game, has a concussion again before the previous concussion had had time to their cognitive levels are back to normal. And according to the National Center for Catastrophic Sport Injury Research, this second concussion wouldn't be as fatal if it weren't for the first one. So preventing the second blow is key to preventing these catastrophic concussions. So now we know what a concussion is, let's talk about what medical advancements are being taking place to reduce the severity of them. The first one is called the baseline concussion test. This is a medical exam that tests brain function. It's an accurate measure of the athlete's ability of reaction time, memory, and processing information speed. And it's a baseline test because each athlete takes this exam before their season begins. So in the event of a concussion, they can retake this test to see if they are back to normal cognitive levels. That way they don't get put back in the game and possibly have a fatal second impact syndrome. The second medical advancement is one that I'm more involved with at the Research and College of Medicine here. And according to Dr. Jake Van Landingham's lab at Florida State University, the introduction of a certain chemical called progesterone actually decreases the swelling in the brain. And this study that he's doing has a lot of clinical and applicable applications to it because he hopes that any typical sideline first aid kit would have progesterone. That way, if an athlete has a concussion, you can inject them right away to reduce brain swelling and reduce possible brain damage. So those are some 2 possible advancements to reduce the severity of concussions. So now let's talk about what political and legislative values are being taken, are being done in order to reduce the amount of concussions happening each year. With the increase in awareness and growing concern over concussions, many states are passing legislation regulating sports. This legislation stipulates that an athlete who has been recognized and having a concussion cannot return to play unless being cleared by a medical examination or doctor. According to House Bill number 1824, when in doubt, sit them out. This slogan sparked legislation statewide and now reaching collegiate and professional levels in sports. All high school, NCAA, NFL, and NHL athletes have to adhere to these baseline concussion tests. These tough return to play laws have saved hundreds of lives. In conclusion, concussions are very serious brain injuries, and with the proper knowledge of them, we can reduce this growing trend. As I wrap up, I hope each and every one of you understand the seriousness of this condition. And I hope that you, one, recognize the signs and symptoms of concussion, two, know the medical advancements that are being done to reduce the severity of them, and also, three, the political advances being done to reduce the trend of them. And maybe as next fall approaches, with football season around the corner, as you watch the games, you might be able to realize and point out that hard hits and know the serious consequences if, God forbid, that athlete doesn't get up.